We seem to have lost that connection as well. Our Deputy Editor Shiv Arur is with us. Shiv, rather important aspect of these details that are emerging out of the cabinet meeting is that no criminal cases will be registered against any of the people who've been named in this scandal.
Remember that the Justice J. Patil report doesn't make any specific recommendations as far as charges, or necessary action is concerned. It's very clear to differentiate between what the nature of this report really is. It mentions certain circumstances under which things actually happened in terms of quid pro quo, in terms of political patronage, in terms of improper decision making, in terms of unauthorized decisions or no objections that were actually handed down as far as the other society was concerned. But apart from all of this, the fact remains that the crux of this report, the spine of this report, Simi, is the political patronage, because the bureaucratic wrangling, the bureaucratic decisions that were taken have been investigated, and like you pointed out, is already the subject of an investigation currently by the CBI. So the Justice J. Patil Judicial Commission report was always going to be, about the politicians, the overall state leadership, the netas who were involved at every step in taking those decisions. So if the Maharashtra government, if the Prithviraj Chavan government actually specifically decides to ignore what has been said about people like Sushil Kumar Shinde, about Ashok Chavan and several other stalwarts of the Congress in the report, it will be perhaps an even greater whitewash than what the Chavan government did initially by rejecting the report as a whole, because here it'll be eyewash. It'll be the government saying Rahul Gandhi has had his say about this particular report, therefore we will have to accept it, but we definitely are not going to accept the recommendations or the or what has been said about people like Sushil Kumar Shinde and others in the report. So it's an extremely tricky situation right now. It's not as clear cut as many people would like to believe, because remember, at the end of the day, the Maharashtra Chief Minister has the NCP to deal with, like Sahil Joshi was just pointing out. So it's going to be extremely tricky, and I'd love to know what the details are going to be. Once Prithviraj Chavan briefs the press momentarily, we will know precisely how they plan to manage and handle the Justice J. Patil report.
Absolutely. Shiv, stay on this. Let's also get a word from our Mumbai Bureau Chief, Sahil Joshi, who's standing by. Sahil, an important aspect of these details that are coming out is that clean chits have been given to NCP leaders Rajesh Tope and Sunil Takkare, but the commission has accepted, the cabinet has accepted charges of quid pro quo against former Chief Minister Ashok Chavan.
Absolutely. There were 13 terms of references on which the commission, the J. Patil Commission, submitted its report. The fact-finding body, they presented themselves as a fact-finding body, and then they submitted the report. Especially if we talk about the political patronage, the 4 former chief ministers, including Ashok Chavan, and these 2 MOS, that time, the Minister of State of Urban Development Department, Rajesh Tope and Sunil Takkare, belong to the NCP. The commission clearly says that these people actually gave the political patronage to the Adarsh society, and they helped them in bringing up that society and getting them the land which belonged to the state government. Now, the cabinet was of the view that this is a very off-the-cuff remark that they received the political patronage, especially against these 2 ministers. They were merely MOS. The Urban Development Department always lies with the Chief Minister in Maharashtra. So it was the Chief Minister who was taking the decision, not the MOS. So that's why their role is a very mere role, and we cannot actually do anything to these 2 MOS, the Sunil Takkare and Rajesh Tope. At the same time, the draft which was prepared by the former Chief Secretary mentioned that the political patronage was a remark on their role in the whole Adarsh Society scam, be it Sushil Kumar Shinde, be it Vilasrao Deshmukh, right, or the former Revenue Minister Shivaji Rao Nilangekar Patil. So actually what the government should be doing is to issue a proper guideline to the ministers that in such kind of circumstances, in such kind of situations, what the government should be doing, especially dealing with the allotment of the land. So that's what maximum the government cannot do. There is no legal case against those people because they merely took the decisions. They were not the people who actually received anything out of that. Now comes the case of Ashok Chavan. There are two cases against him. One is quid pro quo, and the second thing is about the ineligible membership of his sister-in-law and mother-in-law, which was they were given membership in the Adarsh society with the flats which Ashok Chavan, after the scam broke out, returned to the society. But those charges are there. The charge sheet has been filed against them. But the governor of Maharashtra has rejected the appeal of CBI, the application of CBI for going ahead with the prosecution against Ashok Chavan. So now we will have to wait and see what happens with that case as well. Even if the government has accepted the report, even if the government has accepted the commission report, whether the government itself is going to do anything against Ashok Chavan, or they are just merely going to say that CBI has already done the investigation, they have already filed the charge sheet against Ashok Chavan, the case is already in the court, so let that particular aspect take its own course, rather than government going ahead and filing a case in EOW or any other section. It's better that the CBI case moves forward, but in that particular case, the governor has not given go ahead for the to go ahead with the prosecution against Ashok Chavan. So basically that case is stuck there. So we'll have to see what course the government takes, whether the government actually goes ahead with the earlier draft of action taken report, or they will appoint someone to prepare the new action taken report and tell them that as per these recommendations by the Adarsh Commission, what action can be taken against the people who have been found guilty in the commission.
All right, so no criminal cases to be registered, as the commission itself did not recommend any departmental inquiries to be ordered against bureaucrats who have been named. Most of the politicians getting a clean chit. Shivalur, I want to put this question to you. So it looks like this entire debate over Sonia Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi asking the Maharashtra Chief Minister to step in and take a relook at this pro-panel report was merely a gimmick.
It appears to have been a gimmick from the start, and as perceptions have intensified about the decision-making process, it had actually begun with several people actually saying that Prithviraj Chavan himself was uncomfortable with this entire decision to outright reject the Justice J. Patil Judicial Commission report. The thing is, there was complete silence from the Congress leadership, as outrage exploded over the decision to completely reject it. Then you had Junior Minister Milind Deora, who's supposed to be very close to Rahul Gandhi, tweet about how there shouldn't be a hush up in this entire case, and there should be an investigation into the findings of the Patil report. After which there was that press conference where Rahul Gandhi, on expected lines, had something to say about the Adarsh Committee report, and it was only after that you saw the domino effect where Prithviraj Chavan said that he will confer with his cabinet, and then a decision would be taken. And now we find that a selective acceptance of that report is going to happen. It throws a great deal of dubious light on the decision-making process. Whose decision was it to outright first reject the report? Was it completely a setup? Was it a fixed match? Remember, the BJP and the opposition have been saying from the start that this was all a fixed match, like perhaps the ordinance, the criminal neta ordinance as well, where a bad decision is taken, and then in comes Rahul Gandhi like a shining prince to reverse a bad decision that was once taken. But unlike the case with the criminal neta ordinance, in this particular case, as Sahil pointed out, the devil may be in the details. The decision to selectively accept or reject parts of this report will show an even more dubious light on the Congress decision-making process, and I think that's something that the leadership, both at the state and the centre, will try to deal with at this point.
Absolutely. Let's also get a word from Sahil Joshi. Sahil, I want to know, why is it that the Congress has decided to isolate Ashok Chavan?
See, it's not the question of isolating Ashok Chavan. The whole other scam is related to Ashok Chavan. Ashok Chavan and other scam cannot be separated at this point of time. Ashok Chavan had to resign because the whole other scam came into the public domain. And because of that, he had to resign. Everyone came to know that not only that he gave permission to the other society, he gave permission to increase the number of...
including Vilasrao Deshmukh and Sushil Kumar Shinde, who were also named by the probe panel.